Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson is one of the top-selling business books of the past decade. It's a charming and entertaining book that uses a fable to show how to handle change, which can be stressful in work and life. In the book's foreword, management expert Ken Blanchard says, "Cheese is a metaphor for what we want in life, be it a job, a relationship, money, or organizational success. We spend time seeking what we want in the maze. In the book, the maze is a literal one. Our task," he says, "is to learn to change or move with the cheese in a way that helps us get what we really want, especially in these times of rapid change." The book is in 3 sections. 1. A gathering. It's a class reunion about trying to deal with changes in their lives. 2. The actual story of Who Moved My Cheese, which is the fable the people at the reunion read. And 3. The discussion, or a talk about how they are going to use the story in their work and lives. Let's get into the book. We begin with The Gathering. The book begins with a lunch gathering of former classmates in Chicago the day after their high school reunion. All are trying to cope with unexpected changes, and most of them admit they aren't great at handling them. Michael shares how he used to fear change in his business until he heard a funny little story called Who Moved My Cheese. Once he passed the story around to people in his company, the business did much better, and it altered how Michael looked at change. Now, we move into the heart of the book. The story. Who Moved My Cheese? The story features 2 mice named Sniff and Scurry, and 2 little people who are as small as mice named Hem and Haw. Every day they put on jogging suits and running shoes and hit the maze in search of cheese. One day they all find cheese at Cheese Station C. Hem and Haw believed that having cheese makes you happy. Once they found cheese at Cheese Station C, they got very comfortable and expected the cheese to always be there. They took the cheese for granted and even moved their homes closer, creating, unfortunately, a false sense of security. They assumed their hard work in finding the cheese justified an endless supply of it. Sniff and Scurry behaved differently. They followed their instincts and paid attention to small changes. They did not cling to beliefs about how things should be. One morning, when Cheese Station C had no more cheese, they quickly went off in search of new cheese. At the lack of cheese, Hem and Haw freaked out. Happiness, they thought, was connected to finding the cheese where they expected to find it, and they believed that if your cheese is important, you must hold on to it. "Who moved my cheese?" Hem yelled. "This is so unfair." Even when there was no cheese, they kept coming back morning after morning, expecting to find cheese, but they didn't. Finally, Haw started to laugh at himself. Haw suggested that they maybe go and find new cheese, but Hem doesn't agree. What they don't know is Sniff and Scurry already found a huge supply of cheese at Cheese Station N as they searched the maze for new cheese. Haw realizes the old cheese isn't going to show up, and that it was time to start another search. He felt more alive when he decided to move on. He left a note for Hem. "If you do not change, you can become extinct." And, "What would you do if you weren't afraid?" As Haw journeys out into the maze, he writes messages to himself, hoping Hem will see them and understand the wisdom he is trying to share. Recalling the cheese at Cheese Station C, Haw admits that the cheese had gotten smaller and older and didn't taste good. Change would not have taken him by surprise had he watched what was happening and anticipated change. He wrote, "Smell the cheese often so you know when it is getting old." Although he felt fear, Haw moved in a new direction. He began trusting what lay ahead, even though it was unknown. He felt good and wondered why. Then he knew why and wrote, "When you move beyond your fear, you feel free." In the maze, Haw started having fun. He imagined eating the many cheeses he liked and imagined enjoying the tastes of new cheese. Then he wrote, "Imagining myself enjoying new cheese leads me to it." On his journey, Haw found bits of new cheese and began to get stronger. He wanted to go back to see if Hem would come along. As he did this, he wrote, The quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you find new cheese. When he got back to Cheese Station C, he offered him new cheese, but him said he didn't think he'd like it because it was not what he was used to. Because he was not ruled by fear and didn't feel as weak as he did when he stayed in Cheese Station C with no cheese, Haw ventured back out on his own. He realized it is safer to search in the maze than remain in a cheeseless situation. Haw realized the fear you let build up in your mind is worse than the situation that actually exists. He'd been so afraid of never finding new cheese that he didn't start looking. Now, just looking was becoming exciting. His beliefs were evolving. He no longer believed that cheese should stay in one place or change was wrong. Haw believed relocated cheese and change were natural, whether expected or not. He then wrote, "Old beliefs do not lead you to new cheese." Haw saw that new beliefs encouraged new behaviors. He knew that when you change what you believe, you change what you do. You can believe change will hurt you, or that new cheese will help you embrace change. Haw then wrote, "When you see you can find and enjoy new cheese, you change course." By this time, Haw saw if he had embraced change sooner and left Cheese Station C earlier, he'd be in better shape. Finally, he hoped him would read the handwriting on the wall and find his way. Haw wrote, "Noticing small changes early helps you adapt to bigger changes to come." Just as Haw was letting go of the past and adapting to the future, he found new cheese. Cheese Station Inn had piles of cheese of all kinds. Sniff and Scurry were there too. Haw jumped into the new cheese and ate a ton. Finally, Haw summarizes what he has learned and leaves it for him and for the reader. It's called The Handwriting on the Wall. Here it is. And lastly, the discussion. After Michael was done telling the story, him and his classmates agreed to get together and talk about the story as it applied to some of their own experiences in work and life. We at Calibrain invite you to click on the Participate button to see some of what these classmates discussed, as well as add your thoughts on how you see yourself in the story of Who Moved My Cheese? Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson is a fun and enjoyable read that will prepare you to handle change and position you for the reality of continual, ongoing change in your work and life. The book takes less than an hour to read, but its impact and wisdom will last much, much longer. Pick up a copy to get all the details that were not in our review. You will be glad you did. Thanks for watching, and leave us a comment below to let us know what you thought about this book review.